What's going on, everybody? So I don't know if you guys have seen on social media or not, but there's a thing going around called the Spell Your Name with Games Challenge. And I want to take part. Let's dive on in. Alright, well, the first letter of my name is J, and that is also my entire name. Although there are more letters after that. But the first letter is J, so I am going with Justice League Heroes for the PS2. I am well aware that X-Men Legends and Ultimate Alliance get all the press, but as a DC Comics fanboy, Justice League Heroes was and is one of my favorites from the PS2 generation. A top-down action RPG akin to things like Champions of Norath or Neverwinter Nights, Justice League Heroes takes some of the greatest characters from the DC universe and puts them into a fun and challenging adventure. Featuring characters like Green Arrow, the Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, Batman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash, I have revisited this game repeatedly over the years, and it's always something I have a ton of fun playing. Alright, after the first letter comes the second letter, and that means it is time for an A, which brings us to Advance Wars Dual Strike for the DS. One of my absolute favorite series is Advance Wars. I'm a huge fan of turn-based strategy games, and for some reason, Advance Wars at the time just spoke to me more than Fire Emblem did. It's not to say I don't love Fire Emblem, because I do. Advance Wars just had that certain something that Fire Emblem didn't to me. I love the characters and the design, and I think the gameplay is a ton of fun. The first DS iteration, called Advance Wars Dual Strike, that you're seeing here introduced a bunch of new protagonists, but it's still got that signature touch of humor and character that the series is well known for. I've played through this game numerous times, and it's never not an enjoyable experience. And finally, my first name ends with a Y, and that means we are going to go with Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair for the Switch. And finally, the second game in the Yooka-Laylee series, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. The series initially launched as a fun 3D platformer collectathon, and while the game was good, there was a lot of small issues that added up to the game being really good, but just short of great. But Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a phenomenal follow-up. It's dripping in style and substance, and it transitions from a 3D platformer to a 2D side-scroller that just does not miss. The game is incredibly difficult and wonderfully enjoyable, and it's truly one of my favorites on the Switch. Alright, so that's my name. 3 letters, 3 games. That is all you guys get. We've got a J, we got an A, and we got a Y. 3 letters, it's easy. I'm out in 3 minutes. So until next time, guys, I have been Jay. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
You being lazy?
Yeah?
Cut it out.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Square pegs.
That's like 10 letters.
You can suck it up, Buttercup.
Fine. Alright, hold on. Alright, fine. She speaks, I listen. Square pegs. First letter, S. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy, one of my favorite games for the GameCube. In a sea of decidedly average 3D adventure platformers, Sphinx stood out as not only exceptionally fun to play, but absolutely wonderful to look at. The game just dances as you play. The controls are pretty tight, the puzzles are really fun, and the story is entertaining and frequently hilarious. Trust me when I tell you, there's a reason that this game got the remake when THQ Nordic bought the rights to the old THQ library. It is absolutely fantastic. If you guys watched the Disney Ducks collaboration I did with Game Dad, you know how utterly underwhelming this game truly is. And I gotta be honest, out of everything on this list, this is the only one I don't legitimately love. I mean, it's an alright game, and there's some serious strengths at play here. I mean, the animation and sprite work are superlative, but the rest of the game, it's pretty boring and kind of unforgiving with the controls. Still, the idea of a globe-trotting Donald Duck dressed as a Wish.com version of Indiana Jones is at least a little bit appealing. Alright, now lately there have been some spectacular games with a U. I mean, the entire Uncharted series is wonderful, but my personal favorite from the series is this beautiful thing here, Uncharted 4. Alright, where Donald Duck was a Wish.com Indiana Jones, Nathan Drake is instead the Old Navy version. Yeah, it's still definitely a knockoff, but at least you know the things are of higher quality. I straight up love the Uncharted series, but unlike many, the first one I played was this one here, Uncharted 4. I had very little idea of what the backstory of the character actually was. I just knew that this was a game I wanted to get a PS4 for. The visuals absolutely blew me away, but I was far more taken in by the story than I thought I would be. The ending in particular is phenomenal. I'm so happy that this was my first exposure to Nate, Sully, and Elena, because it made going back and playing 1 through 3 that much more special. You guys know how much I love Assassin's Creed. Meredith is over there playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now for our next He Played, She Played, and I have actually moved on to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I am a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed series, having played it since its first iteration. But I will admit I was starting to suffer from some burnout by the time Syndicate released. And while I played and enjoyed Syndicate and Odyssey, and I realized now as I'm recording this I still haven't played Origins, that needs to change. Odyssey in particular really captured my imagination, having a massive interest in ancient Greece, but even then I burned out after about 60 hours of gameplay. With Valhalla though, I'm enjoying every second of my time with it. Eivor is a phenomenal protagonist. The game looks stunning, with widely varied locales and interesting city designs. Valhalla feels like the first time Assassin's Creed actually realizes the promise laid out by Altair's adventure way back in 2007. SQUA makes R, so that's going to take us back to the PS1 with one of my favorite really weird hidden gem games, and calling it a hidden gem is a bit generous because the game's patently kind of bad, but I do have a soft spot for it in my heart, and that is Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman. Oh my god, I remember seeing a print ad for Rising Zan back in some random-ass video game magazine in the 90s, and having just watched Trigun, I had to own this game. To be fully upfront and clear, it is not a good game. It is buggy and full of half-implemented versions of great ideas. It is a quirky-ass action game with honestly fairly terrible controls, but there's DNA here that really points to where the industry was going. This is Devil May Cry with technical limitations. It's Gungrave without the panache or sense of style. There's humor, over-the-top action, and ridiculous combos to pull off and execute, if you can. Rising Zan is about as far from perfect as a game as you'll encounter, but I will be honest with you, I adore everything about it. I love this game so much. For E, we are going with Epic Mickey 2 for the Wii U, an underrated and underappreciated game. Oh, what might have been. And consider that's with me admitting that I actually enjoy the Epic Mickey games. There was so much potential here. Warren Spector making an entirely new video game universe based on Disney characters, movies, and rides, starring Mickey, and bringing Walt's original creation, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, into the fold. It had so much potential. Unfortunately, the games just didn't connect with people. They're serviceable platformers to be sure, but the issues inherent in the game engine just never got addressed, and sales reflected that. Like I said, while I enjoy both the original and the sequel, I can admit neither one of them are without their flaws. P, I was waffling between this game and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, but I'm going to do Paper Mario in a different video, and this one I don't know that's going to be featured anytime soon. So, P gives us Punch-Out for the Wii. When Punch-Out debuted on the Wii, I honestly thought it was going to lead to a flurry of sequels and a resurgence in the wonderful Punch-Out franchise. Instead, what we got was Doc Lewis's Punch-Out on WiiWare, and that was the end of it. You know, maybe with Level 5 being purchased by Nintendo, we'll get another Punch-Out game. How cool would that be? But I gotta be honest, with nothing coming out of it, it's kind of a shame, because Level 5 put in some incredible character design, fantastic gameplay, and truly innovative controls by integrating the Wii Balance Board into the mix. Punch-Out is classic Nintendo design philosophy. A simple concept to grab, increasing difficulty as you play, and big, bright, amazing characters to enjoy. It's one of the absolute best games released on the Wii, without question. The second E brings us to the fourth Elder Scrolls game, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Game of the Year for the 360. Okay, I get that this is kind of cheating since everyone just calls it Oblivion, but I can't walk past any of the Elder Scrolls games. They're too good. And as much as I love Skyrim, you gotta dance with the one that brought you. For me, that's Oblivion. I played Morrowind briefly, sure, but Oblivion was the one that really caught my attention. It's one of the most truly immersive and deep games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. The game features a massive, sprawling world and brilliant social interactions that really put you into the universe of the Elder Scrolls. And kicking things off with a character voiced by Patrick Stewart didn't hurt to grab my attention. It's fantastic, and if there's anything on this list you haven't played yet, be sure that this is the one that you pick up sooner rather than later. Lots of great games start with G, but one of my favorites is something from the GameCube, and that is Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. Wonderful fighting game featuring kaiju. You can't go wrong. Alright, straight up, who doesn't love kaiju beating the ever-living hell out of each other? Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee was one of my absolute favorite GameCube games back in the day, and it holds up pretty well today. If you've ever played King of the Monsters back in the 16-bit era, this is the next evolution in what you should be playing. Featuring classic Toho monsters like Rodan, Megalon, Mechagodzilla, and the King Lizard himself, Godzilla, it's a wonderful monster beat-em-up. I won't lie, it does show its age at some point, but the game itself is still fun. My kid loves watching me play. And then finally, S, one of my favorite games from one of my favorite series. Again, back to the PlayStation 1. This is the first entry in the Suikoden series. Alright, I gotta go with one of the big games for my close here, and you know how much I love the second Suikoden game, but the first one is no slouch either. Like every other game that followed, Suikoden features 108 Stars of Destiny, where you assemble a massive cast of characters around you in your quest to lead the Liberation Army. Suikoden is a brilliant example of classic JRPG design and gameplay. Featuring gorgeous visuals, big spells, and memorable writing, the game is a beautiful example of what a designer and studio can do and not tethered down to a license or pre-existing IP. Suikoden is a masterpiece. Okay, look, I can admit it, Meredith was right. It was a lot more fun to spell the entire thing than just spell J. That was kind of lame, wasn't it? But I want to hear from you guys. Spell your names and let me know what games you would use to represent you to show them off. You got a Q in your name? I apologize, because you're kind of limited to things like Quest for Glory and Quackshot, and as good as Quest for Glory is, finding an inbox copy of that can be a pain in the butt. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up down below. Lets us know you enjoy what we're doing. And if you're new to the channel and haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, guys, I have been Jay. I appreciate you being here. Play more games, spell your name, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.